Hi. After my dad moved in with the woman he was seeing, I found myself bouncing back and forth between my mom's and my dad's. I never really felt like I belonged anywhere. And those teenage years became a confusing mixture of trying to find myself, making mistakes, and dealing with situations that were far beyond what I could handle. One night it was raining, and this guy I was hanging out with carried me out to his car. Now, mind you, I had a mini skirt on with shorts underneath, so yeah, it did not look appropriate. Well, here come my mother, and she come outside, started yelling at me, calling me names, and said I was going to turn out just like her. Now, mind you, my mother gave birth to a child when she was 14 and put her up for adoption. I looked at her and I said, I will never be like you. I told the guy to drive away. Looking back, I know I shouldn't have talked to my mother that way. I was 15. I was angry, hurt, and trying desperately to figure out who I was. I was also on probation at this time because of the last incident. And when I would go see my probation officer, I would give her yes/no answers, make it short, sweet, simple, and get out. One day, however, she was prying, and she asked me a bunch of personal questions. She asked me if I ever thought about suicide, and I couldn't lie. So she had me go to a mental institution or a mental hospital and get evaluated. I spent 3 days in there. And I got a different probation officer after that. So not long after that, I met a girl and we became friends, and we were typical teenagers. We would drive around and tell people that they had their keys in their door. You would not believe how many people will look in their door while they're driving to see if their keys are there. We would tell people that were riding bikes that their tires were spinning. We had baby dolls that we carried around with us and yelled at them when we'd put them in the back seat. People would look at you. We'd sit on the roof and say hello to people. People do not look up. It's hilarious. We started taking pills to stay awake for days. We did a paper route. Took an hour and a half. Took us 45 minutes. Those were the reckless years. Got into an argument with my dad's girlfriend, wife, whatever she was. And I said something that I shouldn't have said. My dad was pouring a cup of coffee. He turned around, threw the coffee at me. I just walked away. Went back to my mom's. My life seemed to move back and forth as much as I did. I met another girl, and we decided that we were going to drive 2 hours away from home. And so I filled up the car. We drove down there. We're driving around. We're having a good time. And when it comes time to go home, we don't have any gas. So again, my dad reported his car missing. I got in trouble. I was put on probation until I was 18, and the judge kept my license till I was 18. When I was 15, I met my first husband. We did not get together until I was 17. I became pregnant. I was driving back and forth to school. My mom found out, called my probation officer, and I got in trouble for that. All I got was 24 hours community service. And on my 18th birthday, we got a place to live, and we moved out that morning. And it was all good, except he was not that good. He would push me out of bed if I touched him, so I learned to make a bed on the floor so I wouldn't get hurt. Shot at me with a BB gun. I was sick for an entire week. I laid on the couch for 3 days, couldn't eat, couldn't sleep or drink without being sick. Someone finally came over and took me to the hospital. I had an infection, and I was there for 5 days. On December 14th, my daughter, Alexa, was born. She weighed 6 pounds even. She had jet black hair. She had hair on her back, hair on her ears. I thought she was the most precious thing I ever saw. But becoming a mother doesn't mean my problems just disappear. Not long after she was born, we were evicted from the place that we were living. I was getting money for being a student and being pregnant, and he was controlling the money. So guess what? No bills got paid. I moved in with my dad again on December 10th, 1996. Her father and I got married. And not long after that, my dad and his wife brought me papers asking me to sign over my daughter. I did not want to. I really did not want to. But with my previous childhood of going through with CPS, I was scared. So I signed the papers, gave them custody, and then after a while, I went back to my mom's. My first husband became really controlling at this time. I couldn't go talk to my mother without having a good reason. I had a time limit to go walk around town. I wasn't allowed to talk to anybody unless he knew about it first. He was in and out of jail all the time. And then he went to prison. And I met my second husband during this time. He was married, going through a divorce. He had a 5-year-old. I know I made a mistake by becoming involved with somebody else before my marriage was officially over. But at this point, I was looking for a way out of life, that was more healthy. And I had told him, the situation when he called from prison, and he understood, and we both left on good terms. And Alexa was 2 at this time, and my dad and his wife were getting a divorce, so she had to go somewhere else. And since I did not have a stable home or job, she went with her grandmother. So I was able to see her more often, and I didn't know it then, but this was the beginning of a long journey to get my daughter back and to finally build a life I had been searching